Hello, I am Dr. Kimberly Burgess. I serve as the Executive Director for Student Success here at Albany State University, and welcome to Voices of the Extraordinary with Dr. Burgess. Today, I am speaking with Miss Himani Patel, who is a junior biology major here at Albany State University, and she is currently the Student Government Association President. Welcome, Himani. Welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Burgess. Hello, y'all.
Basically, what I'm talking to students about is that something in them that kind of puts them above other students, or they've had a special experience, or they have a special perspective. They come from a different place than the average student, and I want to profile how that special something provides them with their superpower, and how what they've learned about that superpower and what they think that superpower can bring for others, and how can other students find their inner superpower. I met you actually with the cultural exchange. That's when you first caught my eye. You all were doing events with the cultural exchange when you approached me. So tell me about your experience. One, tell me where you're from and how you got to Albany State University.
I was born and raised in India. I moved here in 2016 when I was 13. Started my school here. I went to Lee County High School, graduated from Lee County High School, and then my parents own business down here, so I felt like staying in Albany and do my college, and then I can move out for my medical school. I'm currently a biology pre-med student here at Albany State University. This is my third year, and I'm enjoying the experience. And we started Cultural Exchange Club with 4 students in 2021, just so all the other students at HBCU also gets to learn different cultures and what it feels like learning different culture, tradition, and just to bring diversity on campus. We started this organization. It has been a great organization for the students of race, for the student of colors, to have a place where they can raise their voice and just enjoy with each other, have festivals with each other, celebrate holidays with each other. So we just got done with International Education Week this week, and it was a fun of events the whole week. And we do this every year. Next spring will be Spring Fling, where they celebrate festivals, holidays from all the countries around the world. And I feel like it's a great opportunity for all the other students who doesn't have cultural background, like for African American students or for the students who was born in the United States. A lot of the students didn't know that I speak 8 languages other than English, because India speaks, each state in India speaks different language. But we do have a national language that we interact with each other with, and that's called Hindi. So it was a challenge when I first got here. Learning English was an experience. It was a task. It was a roller coaster, but here we are.
And I'm glad that you talked about that, because that's what I kind of wanted to start there. Like I said, you caught my eye doing cultural exchange. And so I'm an Army brat, and I lived all over the world. I lived in Europe. I had to learn other languages living in another country. And so what caught my eye was when I saw you, not only that English was not your first language, but here you are at a HBCU. And so I was curious culturally, how you were approaching that. So let's talk about how you chose Albany State University. So many students, when they graduate, and especially living in Albany, often because we live in Southwest Georgia, and it's a small town, students often feel like, I got to get away. I got to go somewhere else. Why did you not make that choice? How did you come to choose Albany State?
First, family is very important to me. So, my dad was here, my mom, and my younger brother. So everybody was here. So I felt like I don't want to go away from them. Second, Albany State, I've always wanted to go to HBCU. When I was going to Lee County, I felt like I want to go to HBCU because I've already had that PWI experience. High school is white school. So, yes. So I felt like I want to have that HBCU experience because a lot of my friends in high school were Black, and I was always welcomed in the community. So I get attracted with the people that welcomes me and appreciates me for who I am and what I do. And so that's why I wanted to go to HBCU. I've learned a lot of stuff about HBCU, culture, tradition. I'm still learning. Mm-hmm. And then when I got here, I was like, oh my God, no, this is not for me. By the time I learned my lessons, I was experiencing a lot of stuff. I grew out of it. I came out my comfort zone, as I said. Wanted to be a leader, wanted to do something different than everybody else has been doing. Then I applied for Student Government Association president, and it has been a great journey so far.
So tell me how your experience coming from a country where you're speaking 8 different languages, how did that prepare you to coming to a rural, predominantly white high school, and then coming to a predominantly black university? How has your own personal experience helped prepare you for both of those experiences?
Well, so in my culture, I'm always open to learn new things. So, as I said that I went to high school, and then I was always open to learn new things. And that's why my experience has been really great. I love it. Still want to explore more. Want to learn a lot of the things that will happen in the future. So that's my experience so far.
Have you found a community of other students from India to
Yes.
commune with? How many of them are there?
So we currently have 6 students at Albany State that is from India, and then we have 3 students that is from Pakistan, and so they are pretty much, we call them Desi community, and they're my best friends. Like, I met my best friends through Albany State, and I'm grateful for this experience, definitely.
Has that helped you, having that access to that community at Albany State? Has that helped the experience? I know that you said that you're open and you always felt welcome by the African American community, but has having those students here with you, going through the experience with you, has that been helpful for you?
It has, because when we started Cultural Exchange Club, it was 3 of the Indian students. Then we had 1 person who was from Pakistan, and it was just Dr. Gibson. So it was like literally the Desi community started the organization. And after we started the organization, we got more people involved from Spain, Australia. But at the end of the day, it was like my people were there for me. Even when I was applying for SGA president, my best friends and my friends were there for me. They were like, yeah, you got this. Like, keep going. And then it also gives me like the home vibes that, this is my family, like if anything happens throughout the college, I can let them know. My best friend is actually a biology pre-med major as well. So like, she is a year ahead of me. She's a senior right now. So if I ever need any help or anything, she's there to guide me. So that definitely did help me a lot.
Wonderful. So tell me about these 8 languages that you speak. I know, English is not your first language. Is that correct? It's not your first language. And so you speak 8 languages, but you're around African Americans in the South, okay?
Yes.
And there's a distinct dialect, okay,
There
in the
is.
South. So as someone who's learned 8 different languages, tell me about how similar that is to understanding and listening to your African American classmates. How did the learning 8 languages help you, and what confuses you still sometimes being at an HBCU and listening in a rural HBCU and listening and talking with your African American classmates?
Definitely lingo helps. It confuses me. Like, we have that lingo that we use around our friends. That confuses me still. I'm still learning all of that. But it really didn't, it wasn't a challenge to me, because when I came to United States, I came straight to Albany and I started learning English. Like, I never learned English in my life when I came here. So I started learning English when I got here. So that kind of helped me, because I was already in South and I was learning I was learning English and also learning the accent, that strong accent we have. Because, all the states in the United States have different dialects.
Right.
And
That's right.
strong accents.
That's right.
So, yes, but it was kind of a challenge to learn English, because there is no right or wrong in English. We just make up stuff. We just say whatever we want to say.
Absolutely.
But when I translated that to my language, my mother tongue, I'd be like, wait, what did you just say?
So you've only been speaking English since 2016.
Yes, ma'am.
That is amazing.
Because a lot of students don't understand that English is not important to their country. There are still some countries that doesn't even count English as their language.
And how has that helped your perspective coming to the United States, where Americans Western civilization always looks at their civilization as center to the whole universe, right? That's the Western culture and the Western way. And you're coming from the East where that's not the Western civilization, Western way, Western culture, Western language is not central to the experience. Tell me how that has helped you in your current position. And we're going to talk about your current position in a minute, but how do you think that has helped you kind of acclimate and get along here, but yet keep your identity?
It was a challenge when I tell you, it was like I was trying to keep my feet on the ground, like stay connected with my culture and still at the same time adopt the Western tradition, culture, like listen to rap music and like, things like that. But still I listen to my music when I want to chill out and stuff. Like at house, we talk in my language. We don't talk in English. Because the whole day you are talking in English with everybody. So, like, when we come home, my dad and my brother and all of us are just talking in our language. And, we're just, like, it's like, I don't know how to explain this.
I think you're doing a great job. So when you're at home, you prefer and choose to speak English.
Because that's our comfort zone.
Because that's your comfort zone.
And that's what I was raised in, So yes.
I think that's amazing. Let's talk about your studies for a minute. So you want to be pre-med, right? You're pre-med right now. And so how did you come to choose that major?
I've always wanted to join medical field. And I wanted to be a doctor, but I wasn't sure if I wanted to be a neurosurgeon or an OBGYN. My cousin-in-law lost her baby a month before her due date. And she felt like the doctors didn't take care of her. Like, yeah. So she actually made me want to be a OBGYN. And we really don't have a lot of women's that is OBGYN in labor and delivering especially. Because a lot of the females are probably comfortable with females only. So I felt like choosing that field would help me and the community. I want to be able to have my own hospital when I go back to India, like after I get my degree, after I become a doctor. I want to still serve the community that gave me everything. So I want to have like my own hospital where I can treat all the females, where I can just take care of the babies.
So your plan is to go back to India after you?
I do want to go back. Yeah.
What impact do you think you will have going back home after having your experience here? First, tell me why you want to go back home. Why? Because that seems to be very passionate for you to go back home and do that. And then what do you think your experience here? What are you taking back to your home?
I will definitely take the Western culture back home. Because India is not that diverse, I will say. They have certain perspective about females. Like, you can only do this, you can only do this. Back in 1992, they had this perspective that we only want, like, in-laws only wanted a son. They didn't want a daughter. So, like, they would kill the daughter if they would have daughters.
Really?
And so that will be the one perspective I will change. It doesn't matter if it's a daughter or son, like you still giving birth to a child at the end of the day. So that's one thing I will work on when I go back, and that's what I'll take with me. Second, I do want to go back because it's like I miss home. I miss my family, and that's my community, I would definitely be traveling to United States because United States has given me a lot.
So tell me because I said I was an Army brat, and that means I lived in other countries. So I had to live in other countries, but I didn't have to learn in another language. We were still learning, complicated biology, geometry, everything, in our native language. Talk to me about what it is like to, be in a pre-med program, STEM programs, very complicated, high level, work, and trying to learn and understand and be proficient and be excellent when it's not even in your native language. Can you talk about what's that like and what challenges you've seen?
So every time I'm trying to learn something, I have to translate in my head. So even if I'm talking to you right now, I'm translating in my head, in my language. So it's like back and forth. I have to go back and forth with translating, understanding what I'm saying, what that means, then translate it back. So it is challenging, but I feel like taking notes. If you don't understand one word, Google it. Like, that's my key. If I have an assignment I have to write and I don't understand anything, I like to write down notes, understand each sentence, each word, and break it down.
So are there professors from India or Pakistan that you have made a connection with that have kind of helped you along your journey?
Yes, I'm actually taking science career experience right now with Professor Jain. He is from India, and he has been helping me a lot. He was just telling me about the MCAT pre-plan. He was like, "You gotta get started." He's on my nerves right now. He's like emailing me. He's like, "Oh yeah, you gotta do this. You gotta do this." And it's great that professors are always there to help you. Even the professors from African American. There is a professor from China. She's been helping me a lot too. So all my professors has really great connection with me.
I think you bring an interesting perspective, as I said before, because of your background. One challenge that students have expressed here, particularly freshmen, is that they often have trouble in classes where English is not the first language of the professor. So yes, so I'm sure you've heard that, of course, in your certain position. What do you think of that when you hear that from the students? I'm asking honestly when you hear that from the students. And then what tips do you have for them? Where do you think that comes from when they make that complaint? Do you find it valid? And then what tips do you have to help them move forward?
So it is valid because when I was a freshman, I was taking class with a professor who was Nigerian and he had a strong accent. And so do I. So I understand where he was coming from and I understand where my mindset was. But it's if you don't understand them, they have extra hours for you. They have office hours you can go to. They have notes for you. You can study it. You can ask your classmates and just try to get the understanding of what they are saying in the class. I know sometimes it gets hard, but you can definitely stop them in between lectures and ask them if you don't understand anything. And I know they wouldn't mind. So I understand that, a lot of freshmen coming from high school, they're having really difficulties understanding the process of classes and how school works and how accent of different cultures, professors, and things like that. But I just feel like it will all depend on how dedicated you are for your class. I didn't let that problem stop me from passing that class with an A.
Okay, thank you. Excellent. And so, Madam President, let's talk about your presidency. You are the current Student Government Association president, in essence, the student body president, and you're representing all the students here at Albany State University. Let's talk about what prompted you to even run for that position.
So, I got into SGA in 2022, and I was a freshman. That was my second semester. I was on the International Education Senator. So I was serving as the International Student Senator for 3 semesters. After that 2 semesters, I reapplied for that position and got that position again. And I enjoyed it, actually. I loved being senator. I loved being the voice for all the students. So my goal was to go higher. I didn't just want to sit on one position and just be the voice for only that community.
Right.
But serve all the student body because I had some issues that I wanted to see. I wanted to see some changes. And personally, me, I feel like you got to step up. If you want to be, you just got to be the change. If you want to see some changes, you got to be the change. And you going to have to raise your voice if there is something that's not going on right. And then we applied for it. I was running on a post because I actually qualified for my position, and so I was running on a post and I got the position. I already knew, but I still wanted to do that campaign. I did the whole week of campaign, had events, started off with the mental awareness days. We had pop-up shop to help the small businesses on campus. It was a great campaign week. Dean Williams was telling me that, you already the SGA president, why are you doing all this? Spent so much money, and I was like, okay, we gotta get the voice out. Students gotta know who their SGA president is, because a lot of people didn't know who I was until I became the president, and I felt like I wanted to be their voice. Sometimes students need that comfort zone, who they can talk to. They need the leaders who they can trust.
I agree. So how have you been received?
It was a challenge. Because I'm definitely not Black. I don't come from African American culture or background. I'm the first Indian SGA president out of all the 75th SGA presidents we had.
Okay.
And so, there was some hate. there were some comments. There was like, oh.
Can we talk about that for a minute? I've heard some things among the students. I talk to students in my position. I talk to students all the time. And so the tea, I get a lot of tea, okay, in my office. Yeah, I get a lot of tea in my office. And so one of the things that students were talking about was an email that you had to send out about Fizz,
yes.
Okay? And for what the students were telling me, you were on Fizz. The people were saying things about you,
yes.
Okay, on Fizz. Is that correct?
Yes.
And so tell me about how you approach that. How is that experience, seeing people saying very unkind things on a public area? And Fizz is a social app, for those who don't know. It's a social app that's anonymous. So students are allowed to post anonymously about whatever they want. Tell me as a leader, because this is part of leadership, right? When people are not happy with you, when people say things about you that you feel like is unkind. Tell me what that taught you about leadership, how you think it was handled, or how you handled it, and what lessons could that experience give you moving forward?
I'll start off with, Fizz is the worst thing that will happen to a college student.
I agree.
We are so free, we are so bored that we want to go on an app where people don't even have their name up there. You can come up to me and tell me if you have any problems with me. I've always been that person.
Mm-hmm.
But going on an app and saying bad things about somebody, it's not good. And so I personally, I'm kind of person who wants to make that 100 people happy. But I will like, out of the 100 people, if even one person is sad or mad at me, I'll care about that one person and not the 99 people that's appreciating me for what I do.
So you carried each negative comment as personal to you.
And I wasn't actually on Fizz, but somebody had screenshot that and sent it to me. It kind of did hurt my feelings because at the end of the day, you are a human being. You have feelings.
Yes.
But I kind of took it this way that, okay, yeah, I understand. I was ready for it. I was ready for the hate that I was going to receive. But I feel like I've done everything I could in my position to support the student body and make sure that they have all the resources on campus. They have all the good things that they expect or they deserve. They deserve everything. Because when you're paying for tuition, you deserve every good thing that everybody else, all the other colleges are getting. Because when they started comparing that, oh, she's not black, oh, she's Indian, she's not doing nothing. But what happens behind the scenes, nobody sees that. And one thing I would want to say to all my students is this app is temporary, probably.
Yes, it is.
It's going to get deleted
The attention
regardless.
span is very short with students.
It is. It's not going to last long. But I do want to say that going on a Fizz, commenting something, posting something about somebody, you don't know what that person is going through. So that's why that email was sent. Because a lot of people are getting bullied, harassed. You are commenting about their sexual appearance and stuff, which just breaks my heart. We actually had one incident in United States. I forgot what school it was. There's a student that committed suicide. We don't want that for our university.
Absolutely.
And that's why we've been working so hard to tell our students that this is not what we do. We are a family at the end of the day. But we don't put each other down on an app. And it wasn't just about me. It was about my other friends. They posted my other SG friends, my members. They've also posted Miss 81st on there. And yeah, they posted
Miss ASU. So they posted about Miss ASU as well.
Yes, they posted about everybody.
Yeah.
When you are a face of student, when you are a student leader and people see you, they are always going to have something to say.
I know I'm going to sound 103 years old when I say this, but every generation actually has this. The Gen X people like myself, the MTV generation, okay? That MTV generation. We had something. What
do you mean?
We had something called a slam book. And actually, those of us my age would remember that it was nearly almost the same thing. And it was an anonymous, no one knows who started the book. It would just all of a sudden appear. And the slam book meant you could say anything about anybody and then pass it. You would just pass it to the next person. And they would write what they wanted to write. And it would just get passed around the whole school. So it just seems that every generation seems to have outlets to harm other people. Every generation does. And so I really wanted to hear, how you were approaching that. And I already had talked to you about doing this before I heard about this particular, incident. And so I was just curious. I heard about the email and everything. And I said, I wonder if you're the SGA president and, the things that they were saying were particularly targeted towards your ethnicity. Okay. So you already have that challenge.
Which is okay.
Why do you say it's okay?
It is okay because a lot of people doesn't understand my culture. So they don't have to understand it. I am still trying to learn the HBCU culture and tradition, but they don't have to understand my culture. They don't have to understand where I come from. It's hard, but at the end of the day, they're not going to be able to put themselves in my position to feel how I'm feeling.
Right.
And I hear you say that, we always like to say bad things about others.
Yeah.
But right now, college is really hard. People are depressed already with classes. Mm-hmm. Students are already dealing with a lot of stuff. Mm-hmm. Personal, professional life, having to find a job, work, classes, and their relationship lives, boyfriend and girlfriend and
right.
situationship and all that.
Right.
So they're already traumatized. And this app is no help.
Yeah, it's actually pretty powerful. And I don't think students really understand the power of this particular app. So let's finish up talking about superheroes. I am a huge Marvel fan and have been for a long time.
Oh my God.
And so I am huge on superheroes, and I like to talk to students about their superheroes. So let me ask you, as we close up, how do you define superhero?
Superhero is somebody who doesn't think about themselves and tries to protect somebody else. Superheroes are somebody who will give up on themselves, but not others. And I call police are superheroes. People in the armies, there are superheroes. Doctors, because doctors, they work overtime to save our lives. Army works overtime as well to protect us. And, these are our superheroes. But for me, my superhero is definitely my mom. Because she had to deal with a lot of stuff back home when people were like, oh, your daughter's not going to do nothing. And, they had perspective that, oh, you were spoiling your kids and things like that. She always stood by me, like, whenever I needed her. She's like my best friend. So that's definitely my superhero.
Wonderful. And tell me a superhero you have met here at Albany State, whether it be a student or staff or faculty. Who have you met in your travels here that you would consider a superhero?
There is a lot of people. Oh, my God. So I'll start off with the people I kind of already know and I have come across. Definitely in SGA, I count Tremont Rucker as my superhero.
He is something else. Is there anybody that does not know Trey? Is anybody that does not know Trey?
Everybody knows him. Like, he might be going through something in his life,
right.
but he'll always have that smile on his face.
Yes, he does.
To make sure that, people around him is happy and is taken care of. He might not show his emotions like that, but he is a genuine person. And we are Geminis, so that's why we connect together. We both are Geminis, big Gem. Somebody else I'll say is the people in the cafeteria. Like, they work so hard. Custodians. Like, these are the people, like, staff members. People who doesn't get appreciated enough, they are my superheroes. Because I feel like I see the work behind the scenes.
Right.
I see the work that happens after the events are done. Facilities, putting stuff up, setting up the events that we see. The great Albany State being clean, that's our custodians.
Right.
The food we eat in the the cafeteria stuff. So these are my superheroes.
Okay, well, the last question that I have for you is, what advice would you give to freshmen who are trying to find their inner superhero, who feel a little lost on campus, who feel different on campus, and they're trying to make their way? What would you say to them?
To my amazing freshmen. We love you guys. I know it's a challenge from coming to high school to college. Life is definitely different. You have to be independent. You're by yourself, but don't ever let the motivation go away. Always focus on your classes. If you need to talk to somebody, there's people on the campus who you can talk to. Your advisors, professors you feel comfortable in. SGA is definitely available. Our office hours is from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. If you ever need anything, you can stop by. It's in the Student Center Blue Zone. Please let us know how we can help you. Just stay focused. And it's okay to take a break. If you got to take a break for your mental health, do so, because your mental health is important. But remember, you came here to get a degree, and don't forget your goals.
And we want to thank Himani Patel. She is a biology major, a junior here at the unsinkable, indestructible Albany State University, for sitting with us today. Thank you, Himani. You are definitely a voice of the extraordinary.
Thank you, Dr. Burgess. It was an honor to be here today. I appreciate this so much.
You're very welcome. Thank you. This podcast is recorded, produced, and edited in the WASU FM studios on the Albany State University campus. I am your host and producer, Dr. Kimberly Burgess. Thank you so much for listening. Go Rams!